Welcome to the Yuletide Reindeer class. This class is very, very special to me. I spent a lot of time creating the three different designs that you'll get in this class. I'm going to show you in the videos for this class how to paint Holly. I have her here. There are two other designs. So when you download the PDF workbook and the tracers, you'll get all three designs for the three different reindeer and the links to the wood cutouts and all of the fun stuff. Be sure in the links that you also download both pictures of Holly. I think that it will help you as you're painting your piece to be able to have that reference photo up and be able to see it if you're painting it this direction or this direction. Of course, you can take a picture of the first side of your deer that you paint if you're doing the 3D piece and refer to that. I've just loaded the pictures of mine, so it would hopefully just save you a little bit of time and be convenient for you. So at the website, you can purchase the 3D project, which is what I've painted in the class. You can also purchase just one layer. So if you wanted to put just the wood cutout onto a substrate, you could certainly do that. Those cutouts are available. And the other thing that's available that's really fun are the engraved art bases. So these are 6x6. They come already engraved for you. They're ready for you to seal and start painting. And they're very, very convenient. And because they're just engraved, they are cheaper from me to produce for you. And therefore, the price for you is even better. So I hope that you enjoy this class. This will be our last full class for 2025. I've started filming things just a little bit differently, so I hope that you'll see some improvements that I've made through the year, and hopefully all the changes will make all of the classes even more fun to watch and more helpful to you as you're painting your pieces. So have fun with this one. Of course, show me pictures. I love to see what you're doing and I can't wait to see you in the next class. I have the holly version of our Yuletide reindeer here. I've just been adding some GAC 100 all the way around. I spent some extra time on her really getting to these edges because this is going to be a 3D piece. I'm going to be painting all the way around. And honestly, no matter how much you clean these edges with the alcohol, you can still have some residue. So spending a little bit of extra time going around the edges with the GAC 100 really is worthwhile. It's a good thing to do. So I did also this morning spend just a little bit of time with the Dremel. I went around a couple of the edges, not a lot of time. I don't love to sand. I only rounded just a little bit, just to give a little bit of the feeling of some rounded edges. Um, Once I did that, I came back with a little bit of sandpaper. This is 320 extra fine sandpaper. I keep a piece of this here in my studio for this reason specifically. If you use a Dremel to round any of the edges, you can sometimes end up with a little bit of a ridge where the sanding belt sort of pushes the wood grain up. So spending a little bit of extra time just sanding on those edges will really help so that you don't have those little imperfections that your paint wants to hang up on. I'm gonna try to set my phone to do not disturb so it doesn't keep chiming through all of this. So basically my GAC 100 is pretty much set here. I can see a little bit of extra, but I think it's okay for us to go ahead and get started. Um, I think I'm going to start on the antlers. Let me try to make sure that this palette camera isn't in the way this whole time. And Lucy's gonna come up and be be annoying as usual. I was painting the edges of our snowman piece. Let me see if it's dry enough to pick up. I think so. Scooch it over so that you can see it. This is a really fun class that's also available on the YouTube channel, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really fun. So let's go ahead and get started painting the antlers. I think that I'm going to start out with um, mostly kind of a Titan buff. Maybe I'll add, just to start in, add a little bit of the burnt sienna. For all of painting her, I think I'm going to end up with quite a bit of burnt umber and Titan buff and burnt sienna. I think there's going to be a lot of that going through her. Um, if you don't have Titan buff, I'm sorry, if you, well, either, if you don't have burnt umber or Titan buff on your palette, they're very easy to mix up. So for the Titan buff, you can do a little bit of the burnt sienna with some titanium white and a little bit of yellow ochre, just to get sort of a creamy off-white color. I just dipped into a little bit of the titanium white there too, just because, like I said, I really want to come in and paint all of the edges of her. I'll go ahead and flip her over so you can see the other side. So as I'm painting all of her antlers here, I'm going to be very careful not to try to leave a ridge of paint on the back side. So kind of always checking. This palette camera just seems to be in the way no matter where I put it. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. I don't think there's going to be too much to see on the palette right here. I just dipped in a little bit of airbrush medium just to help it flow a little bit. You can probably see on the glue job that I did here that it's not perfect. Honestly, there's so many layers here. So there's 3 layers for the deer itself, and then a fourth layer basically for this top collar piece, and a fifth layer for the back collar piece. So yeah, there's a lot of layers there to try to glue together perfectly. And honestly, no matter how much you take your time and try, you're going to end up with um, some imperfections. You can use the Dremel on a couple of areas. Let me see if I can show. Here's an area where I Dremeled this just to even it a little bit. A little bit down here, Dremeled it to even it, but it's not perfect still, and it doesn't need to be. Please don't get too wrapped up in making sure that it's perfect. By the time that you paint all of this different areas, um, those imperfections in the gluing are really not going to matter at all. Trying not to bang into the microphone here as I paint. So I'm not going to be very careful as I go through here to have the perfectly right colors yet. I just want to have a base of paint down. It is good, even at this early stage, to go ahead and let some color variations happen. Don't make it be perfectly one color. So keep mixing on your brush. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward from here just to finish painting in all of the sides of the antler, and then we'll meet back up to keep painting. Okay, at the end of that fast forward, you could see me adding a little bit of the GAC 100 on this back side. Earlier when I added it, just on the other side, it wasn't dry yet. So I just went ahead and did a very thin coat of it on this opposite side. One or the other isn't really the back. I did get all of the antlers based in. They're not perfect. I just did it very, very loose, but it gives us that first coat of paint there for us to work with. And you can see that I propped it up a little bit on this open medium container. That just keeps it from, any paint that's on the back being affected by setting it down. So that's a good little trick as you're painting along. If you want to paint both sides, you certainly can. Just use something to prop it up a little bit so that your surface of your paint doesn't get messed up. I do like painting on this Teflon nonstick mat. I have it on my tabletop easel. It's very easy to wipe off, keeps everything kind of clean. So just if you're wondering what that is, that's what's back there. All right, so I think that we can go ahead and add in just a few more of the details on the antlers. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this part just so that you can see it, sort of adding just a few more shadows, a little bit more color, and a little bit more detail there. I'm going to call the antlers done here for now, just until we get the rest of her in place and we can kind of see if we need to do anything else. I hope during that fast forward that I didn't make you motion sick as I flipped it back and forth. But I did find as I was painting that it was just a little bit easier to go ahead and do both sides at the same time. They don't have to be perfect. No one else is going to micro analyze every little shadow that's going on. I just wanted them to be somewhat similar. So I think that I'm ready to go ahead and start on another area. I'm going to move down probably to the ear next, just get the ear and maybe the face laid in. And I'm going to be using many of the same colors. Hopefully you noticed during that fast forward, look at all the sawdust on my on my arm. Um, Hopefully you noticed during that fast forward that I did add in a little bit of yellow ochre. So basically the colors that I've used here are the Titan Buff, titanium white, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre. And I'm just letting those colors mix a little bit. But I really like how the yellow ochre looked here on the Lucy is such a mess. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but she just jumped up on top of the printer and it made an amazing sound in my studio. Um, the yellow ochre, I like the warmth that it added, and I'm going to be using a little bit of that down in the body, not too much. Really manage it. If you get too much, of course, you can go back in and just come back over it with a little bit more of the Titan Buff, but it just gives a little bit of a hint of warmth. So I'm going to move forward to the ear. I'll fast forward it from here just that you can kind of see it start to come together. And I'll be going ahead and painting the edges of the ear as well, probably mostly burnt umber on the edges, just to give them a coat of paint. Okay, I'm going to end this part of the filming for now. I really need to let everything dry. It's very early. I'm just starting to lay in some of the different colors, deciding where I want some of the darks to be. For her, I think I do want her to have a little bit of a star or um, a shape, a lighter shape on her forehead. I think that that will give her some interesting personality. I am also starting to focus on this little band of dark that really comes around. I think that that will also really give her some personality. So this part, this first lay-in is really the most difficult part if you can say that. It's not that it's hard necessarily, it's just that it's early. It's the ugly duckling messy stage of painting. So, I'm gonna let her dry here. I did find through painting that it really was easier to sort of do both sides, particularly on her face. I might not follow that same plan as I get to her body, but particularly on her face where we really want to capture her personality, I think it worked good to um, sort of paint both sides. I don't have the other side quite as detailed as the front side or the opposite side, but from here, once we have this basin, it really gets much easier to come in and work those colors. I'll also say that for some reason, my palette is drying a little bit faster today than it has in the past few days. So I'm trying to remember to dip into the extender medium just to keep the mixes that I have down on my palette a little bit more wet, keep them from drying out quite as quickly. So I look forward to the next step. The body will go much faster than the face where we're trying to capture all of that personality. So we'll get started with the next part of her in the next video.